First, before anything else, I'll clear out the memory by initializing the new song. Okay, pressing enter. So now we have cleared the memory and we're ready to start recording. I will not use the metronome functionality of the W-30. I'm using a drum machine for that. For that first track anyway, which we're going to record now, track number 1, and I'm going to record a kick drum here. So I'm setting up track 1 for recording. I have 16 tracks to record on. And on the first track, I want to record that kick drum, and my kick drum is on channel number 10. This is a TR-808 kit from the Emulator 2 plugin of the Arturia V collection. So I'm going to use the kick, the snare, the hats, and some claps on 4 different tracks, track 1 through 4. So let's do that kick drum first. The tempo is 105. And I'm going to start recording from pressing a key. So when I press a key, the recording will start immediately. That's why I have the drum machine hooked up, so I can hear a rhythm going to record to. And I'm also going to quantize everything to 16ths from the get-go in real time for these drum recordings. So let's do it. Checking the levels here and syncing up the TR-8S. Four bars. Now I can turn off the drum machine so I can hear only the kick drum. Let's press play. So that's track number 1. So this is already quantized to 16ths as I had that going from the get-go in the recording itself. And let's do the snare drum on track number 2. The same parameters. Key on will start recording. So that's the snare in the can. On track 3, I'm having those hats, doing a little bit of that. Okay. I'll adjust the balance and stuff like that afterwards. Now I'm just focusing on recording the parts. And on track number 4, I'm having some hats. So everything is coming off channel number 10 of the Arturia TR-808 drum kit in the DAW here. I'm just using the DAW as a multi-timbral sound module. Let's record again and overdub some more claps. I'm not sure I like those first couple of claps here. I preferred the darker ones. So I could go in and micro edit the note hits for those claps and change that. But let me just erase that track instead and record it again with those claps I want to have instead. And this is very easy on the W-30 as it was on the MC500. Once you got the hang of how the menus worked, etc., you could do this very fast. So let's record that track 4 again. And I'm going to use those claps I really wanted. And now we have 4 tracks I like. So now I can copy those 4 bars of drums 3 more times, and as such have 16 bars of drums. So we're going to copy, and I'm going to specify that I want all tracks to be copied. I want to copy them 3 times from measure number 1 through 4. and I want to start the pasting on measure 5 or bar. And that's done, so let's see if it works. Unlike a mod and DAW where you can see on the timeline that you've copied the parts, you couldn't necessarily do that in the past. You had to run through it, and here if you did right. Okay, so we have a nice little beat going. At this point I'd like to do some chords. I usually lay down the chords before the bass. It's my preferred workflow. It was so in the past and it is so now as well. And I have a nice synth sound here on channel 4. It's another plugin in the DAW here. Let's just go for a 4-chord variation throughout, and I'm going to play it for those 16 bars. So let's do that one. And just like the drums, I'm gonna start recording the moment I press a key on the keyboard. So let's do that, and let's quantize those to 16ths as well, so everything is exactly as I did with the drums. So let's do it. And that's done. Let's check it out. That's fine, at least for now. So let's do the bass, and I'm recording this voiceover afterwards, and I did a mistake here. I accidentally thought the bass would be on track 2, so right now I'm actually setting up track 2 for the bass, but as you remember, on track 2 I have the snare drum. So by recording this now, I will erase the snare and put in the bass instead. And there are no undos here, so unless I saved this song after every track I recorded, I have now no other option than to re-record that snare to the best of my memory. I messed up the bass part anyways. And at this point I realized that I've erased that snare drum. So I'm going to set track 2 back to channel 10 and do that snare drum again. And since I now have 16 bars going, I might as well now just record that snare through those 16 bars and do some variations on the fly. So ultimately I'll have a more, alive snare drum track, I guess. Okay, I think I came out all right here. So now we can go back to track number 6 and record that bass. Hopefully it'll work out okay now. And here's the bass sound coming from the DAW again, and it's a Arturia Mini Freak bass, which I've made myself, part of my patch bank for the Arturia Mini Freak actually. This is not rehearsed in any way, I'm just playing what I think is a kind of groovy and nice bass line. And I messed up. But I got the idea now, so let me just re-record that bass and hopefully it'll work. And I messed up again. It is quite possible to do punch-ins and you can start recording from whatever bar you want, so I don't have to start all over again, which I now did for the third time. I'll show you a little bit later how we can record from any part of the song we want. But when I'm doing bass lines, it's important to me to sort of have it flowing as a seamless part, so I generally don't like to punch in bass lines at all. I want to play them in whole sections of a song, uninterrupted, like I'm doing here. So that's in the can. This was also quantized to 16ths, which is something I generally don't like to do with every part of a song. This is more for tutorial purposes, so we can just go with 16ths throughout here. That's okay. So on the next track, I want to do just small snippets of arpeggiated parts. So I'm just trying to find some finger settings here. So this is being arpeggiated from within the plugin, of course. There are no arpeggiators in the W-30. And that's done. So we're after the lunch break here, and let's just rewind a little bit and see what we have so far. Okay, so to finish this off, let's do a couple of chords at the end here, starting on bar 17, or measure 17 is the precise and correct word actually. So let's find a chord progression that can end this. I'm doing this on track 8, at least with this sound. And I'm going to use the bass afterwards, but let's do some end chords here. That'll work, I guess. I'm doing this in another chord interval because I want that top line of the chords to be done with another type of sound. So if you're going to do that, just as in singing, when you're singing the top line, do your chords in another chord interval, so the top note of the chord does not do the same thing as the top line. You'll have much more rich textures that way. So I'm going to use those chords. But from bar 17 or measure 17, I don't have any drums. I hadn't copied the drums to this measure. So I'm just going to turn on the drum machine again, which I have synced up to the MIDI out of the W-30, so I can have something to go on while I'm laying down those chords. So let's record those on track 8 and in 16ths as well, and with key on starting the recording process. And if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm just visualizing the finger settings for the chords. I usually take a couple of seconds to do that before I actually start recording, so I won't do hopefully more than one take. And that's it. As you can see, I'm now starting recording from the measure I want to. But I have to have some drums here as well. So let's record drums here instead of copying like we did last time. Let's do a little bit different in terms of the drum pattern. And we had the kick drum on track 1, as you remember. So let's go into track 1 and record some kicks. And those were on channel 10, not this sound. So I have to change the channel for that. There it is. Again, nothing is pre-planned here. I'm just doing things on the fly, which I think sounds good. And it's very random, everything I do actually in this video. So let's see if I can record those kick drums using the synth only. And maybe the equalization will take care of my very bad playing there in terms of rhythm. That was incredibly bad, so totally unusable. So let's do that again, and with the drum machine this time, so I have a more solid metronome to record to. Let's do it again. That was much better. I know I can use that, so let's move on and do a snare drum fill at the end as well on track 2. Channel 10, and here we go. So let's hear that back without the drum machine. Should be all right now. That's fine. So let's do the bass part for the ending chord progression here. And the bass was recorded on track 6. Set the channel accordingly. I know very well that you can use the numeric keypad on the W-30 to change track numbers and stuff like that, but I'm using the cursor knob and value knob because I don't have the muscle memory in me at this point to remember that you can use the numeric keypad. So let's record that bass, going straight in on measure 17 this time. Just trying to find a nice bass line for that end part. Maybe a mix of single notes and octaves will do nicely here. Let's try some of that. Key on. Maybe that's all that's needed. Let's hear that back in. I think that works nicely. And let's do one more part, doing that top line and have some more zing to the end chords. It's a little bit dull now compared to what's coming before it. So let's do one last track, track 9, and find a sound that sort of rings a little bit. So again, I'm using the Arturia Mini Freak plugin and a sound I made. That can work. Change a little bit of the release time here so it doesn't ring just as much. And we can record that. So let's do it. And by striking the keys a little harder, I could also bring out the overtones of that sound more. With that zing at the end there. And throughout this entire tutorial, I've done everything without saving once. And in the real life, this would mean pain and suffering. So let's not push my luck too far, and let me just save this now so it's at least saved for future generations to find. They'll be flabbergasted as there are no internal sounds of the W-30 in play here, so they'll have to hook up some external gear to play this, or load up some sounds for the according channels. Anyways, now I can play it again and just mute all those drum tracks and having the drum machine play instead. If I just adjust the pattern on the TR-8S and correct the balance here, we'll have a much nicer sound overall. And so all the synth sounds in this video came from Cubase 11 Pro, which is my DAW. I just picked out different plugins I thought would sound nice. I set them to different MIDI channels, and I used the input transformer to channel out all the other MIDI channels from that respective plugin. If you don't do that, the W-30 will play all those tracks into all your plugins, and that will not sound nice. So filter out those channels you don't need or want. And in effect, my Cubase Pro now became my multi-timbral sound module. I hope you found this video interesting and fun. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Espen Kraft. See you next time. Cheers.